should come to your mind. This is a national sample, nationwide survey. I should know about the weight, and I should use the weight. Then this is the comment you saw is the same comment we use, is the same prop mean, and the variable of interest. The only things we add in the weight specification. We telling the variable that have the weight on it is this variable, and always the weight will be the inverse of the sampling function. Then this is if you're doing it as data. I don't have example out if you're doing it in SPSS. But if you want to take into account all the elements that we talk about, stratification, clustering, and weighting, when you are addressing your sample, whenever you get one, let's say I want to use one of the survey that I showed before. One of them is the American Community Survey. I will go to their website. There will be a place where I can download the data. There will be also next to the data a document that is very important that sometimes people forget to download. It is the technical document that actually explains to you how they carry out the survey, and they will tell you which other variable that identify the stratification, which other variable that identify the clustering, and which other variable are the weight and the technical document. Whenever I get that, now I can take into account the design effect of the sample when I'm doing my analysis. The analysis is the same, but now we're not using prop mean, we're using proc survey mean. This will be the same. We have the same variable. This is blood pressure. We have the same variable. Now we will have a variable that's called stratum. Probably if you do a national survey, that will always be the census vision at the stratum. Then this will be your stratification variable. It's called primary sampling unit. This will be your cluster variable. This will be identified. You don't have to come up with it. This will be identifying the technical document that will come with the data. Then you only need to know about it. If you don't see it, you can email them and they will tell you which variable you need to use. And you need to use your weight. This way, the mean that we get will be unbiased, because it's a mean that will control for all these three elements that was included on the sample. It will be unbiased. Same thing if I want to do a regression analysis. It's the same thing. Instead of using proc reg, there will be a comment of proc survey reg, and that's the same thing. I specify the variable showing the element of the sample. Remember, you don't have to have all of them. You can only have a stratified sample. You don't have to specify the other two. You can have a stratified weighted sample. Yeah, you don't have to have all of three of them. You can have one or combination of them. And then the same thing, my model will be always the same. My dependent variable and all the covariate. The only thing I have to remember is not proc reg, it's proc survey reg, and I have to control. This is why I say control for the design of the survey. Then that way, all the estimate, I will get all my coefficients. The coefficients will have a standard error associated with them. This standard error associated with them will be unbiased because they take into account the structure of my survey, and the confidence interval associated with the standard error also will be unbiased. And yes, then remember, if you don't use large-scale survey, you will probably, in your professional life, have to do a review of a paper that use them. Remember, you have to check for this if people are doing it. The first thing reviewer send out is, you say, I'm using Enhance, is the national, it's one of the big survey we talked at the beginning. The reviewer will ask you why you didn't use weight. If the reviewer know more, he will ask you why you didn't correct for the, if you use any of these, the reviewer might ask you why you didn't use weight, why you didn't correct for the design effect of the survey, because then they're complex survey. Then you need to know about it. I forgot to mention what we're talking about is there is discussion about mostly rating. The discussion is, if I want to get the estimate, let's say I want to get the mean of people that have blood pressure, or the mean of blood pressure, and the confidence interval for it, it's more important to control for the weight in this case, because I want a mean, a national mean, a national estimate, so that I know my estimation are more precise. But when you are looking at relationship between variables, like in the regression analysis, there is some discussion if weight has an effect or not there, if you should use it. I have to tell you that my idea will be, in my case, I will always use it, because whenever you use the survey, you will get from the reviewer why you didn't use it. Then I will always use it. I will always do my analysis unweighted and weighted and see the difference. If there is a huge difference, that means something is wrong with the weight. Then I will always use it. But if there is no difference, I will always report the weighted variable, or explain why I didn't use the weight variable.
So you said that in some cases, including the weight might increase the variance.
Yes.
And then in those cases, you have to normalize or trim the weight.
Yes.
So what is the procedure to normalize for the weight?
It's a variable.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say there will be some variables that have a huge weight. They are outlier. You can trim them, or you can take the mean. Usually it's the way you normalize will be you take the weight minus the mean divided by the standard deviation.
Oh.
Then you normalize them. And also you can decide, yeah, there is different way. What you're trying to do is eliminate the outlier, the one that have huge weight.
Which is creating the weight.
That is creating them. You can decide to trim the weight, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
You say, if let's say your biggest weight was 100, and if you have two observations that have 200, 250, you can decide the highest weight I would use is 100. Then the one that have 200, 250, you assign 100 to them. That's technique of trimming the weight. But whenever, yeah, we are user of the data. That means people that actually do the survey, they spend a lot of time in calculating the weight, and the weight are available. And sometimes when you are in academia, everybody are using them. All the paper that are published using the weight, they expect you to use it also. Or if you don't use it, you have to come up with a strong argument why I'm not using it. Then this is why it's always better to do the unweighted and weighted and see if there is differences. If there is differences, you always go, no differences, you go with the weighted. It's more like you get your paper accepted because you're doing the conventional thing. Yeah, any question, more
So
question?
there you have divided by depth. Is that that's the one correction for the seven arrow?
No, these only a specification of reporting the depth for each of the coefficients.
Oh, okay.
That will tell the model.
Okay.
You will have your estimate, the standard error, the confidence interval, and the value of the depth for each of the standard error that you have there, because you ask him to report that.
So you said we increase the confidence intervals.
Yeah, that's the depth. We talk about the depth is the design effect. Then you can get an estimate of it for each of the coefficient of your model. Then you can see what effect the complex sample have to each of the coefficients.
So you mean increasing confidence interval, is that because of we increase the weights?
Yeah, remember